In 2016, Evelyn Sayos disappeared. Her daughter told a tale of escape to Singapore, but the truth was buried 6 feet under, quite literally. The septic tank of their family home held a secret that would take 4 years to unearth. From fabricated social media posts to suspicious cement purchases, this case is a masterclass in deception. But as with all lies, the truth eventually rose to the surface, revealing a crime that would shock the nation. This is the case of Evelyn Sayos from the Philippines. Imagine your mother suddenly goes missing, yet she's still active on social media. At first, it might not seem like a big deal, but after a while, it starts to feel suspicious, doesn't it? That's exactly how the Sayos family felt when Maria Evelyn Sayos, a devoted mother, vanished from real life but continued to appear on Facebook. What made things even stranger was how her daughter, Joanna, seemed completely unfazed by her mother's absence. In 2016, a peculiar story began to circulate within the Sayos family. Joanna Sayos, the daughter of Evelyn Sayos, shared a startling piece of news with her siblings. Their mother had abruptly left for Singapore. According to her daughter, Joanna Marie Sayos, Evelyn had stormed out of the house in frustration and flown to Singapore. Joanna claimed that her mother had chosen to isolate herself in a house she owned there, supposedly to take time alone and process their ongoing conflicts. She even insisted that Evelyn continue to keep in touch by sending her birthday wishes and warm messages through social media. So Evelyn Sayos, 54 years old, was last seen on August 20th, 2016, and then she was suddenly gone. This sudden departure left the Sayos family in a state of shock and confusion. As time passed, these doubts began to grow. The family couldn't help but notice peculiar patterns in Evelyn's communication. Her messages were often brief and lacking in personal details. She never initiated video calls or sent recent photographs. When pressed for specifics about her life in Singapore, her responses were vague and evasive. Something about the whole situation just didn't add up. How could a woman with no known issues with her family suddenly decide to disappear and cut off all face-to-face contact? The red flags continued to accumulate. Evelyn's passport remained unaccounted for, and there was no record of her leaving the country. The more the family examined the situation, the more inconsistencies they found in Joanna's narrative. As weeks turned into months and months into years, Evelyn's absence became harder to ignore. It wasn't until September 7th, 2018, 2 whole years later, that Evelyn's son Michael finally decided to report her missing. At first, the police weren't too alarmed. Evelyn was an adult, after all. They figured she might have left on her own accord and dismissed it as a personal decision. No immediate action was taken, and the case remained low on their priority list. It wasn't until June 2020, however, that the breakthrough Michael had been hoping for finally arrived. Michael was renovating his mother's house, specifically the kitchen area. It was during this process that he noticed something odd, a foul smell lingering in the air. Initially, he brushed it off as something related to the construction work, but as days passed, the stench only got stronger. Michael decided to have the workers dig deeper beneath the kitchen floor, and that's when they stumbled upon something chilling: Evelyn's ID, passport, and ATM card, all hidden beneath layers of concrete. Michael's heart sank. Fear gripped him. The realization that his mother's belongings were buried within the very foundation of their home was deeply unsettling. Doubts and questions flooded his mind. Was his mother really in Singapore? What if something far more sinister had happened? He was too afraid to investigate further on his own, fearing what he might uncover. The following day, consumed by desperation, Michael contacted the police. They arrived at the house, initially skeptical but willing to investigate. As they began excavation, Tension filled the air. The digging went on for hours until finally they reached an unfinished septic tank beneath the house. The moment they cracked it open, an overpowering, sickening odor engulfed the area. The stench was almost unbearable. And then there she was, a lifeless body curled up in the tank, decomposed beyond recognition. The remains were in such a bad state that it was impossible to identify the person by face alone. Shocked officers immediately secured the area, and paramedics were called in to assist with the removal of the body. The discovery left Michael and the authorities in utter disbelief. How did Evelyn's body ended up here? Who was behind this horrifying act? The search for answers had only just begun, and it was clear that someone in the house had been hiding a terrible secret for years. After the discovery, the police took Evelyn's body for an autopsy to the PNP Regional Crime Laboratory office. The results were grim. Evelyn had died from a fatal stab wound to the neck. The autopsy confirmed the manner of death as homicide, with multiple stab wounds inflicted on her body. Her injuries were brutal. Blunt force trauma had cracked her skull open. There were 5 stab wounds in her chest, 2 in her neck, and 2 incised wounds on her right forearm. It was clear that whoever did this harbored deep anger and hatred toward Evelyn. Michael's worst fears were confirmed, but he needed further proof. A DNA test was conducted to remove any lingering doubts. The results confirmed what he had dreaded. The body was indeed Maria Evelyn Sayos. The shocking truth sank in. The woman they had believed to be living far away in Singapore had been dead all along, buried right beneath their feet. All suspicions quickly turned to the 2 people who had insisted Evelyn was abroad, Joanna and her boyfriend, Rudy. Without hesitation, the police arrested the couple under suspicion of murder. On July 23, 2020, Joanna and Rudy were taken into custody by the Dasmariñas City Police. During questioning, the police pressed them about Evelyn's disappearance. After all, they had been in the house the entire time. There was no way they could have hidden the truth forever. Under intense pressure, cracks began to show. The interrogation room fell silent when Joanna finally broke down and confessed to the shocking truth. She had killed her own mother, and Rudy had helped her. The motive behind this heinous act was a tangled web of resentment and conflict. It came to light that Rudy harbored an extreme hatred towards Evelyn. This animosity was fueled by ongoing disputes between Evelyn and Joanna, particularly regarding Joanna's lifestyle choices and her relationship with him. According to the arrested couple, the constant criticism and nagging from Evelyn had created a toxic environment that ultimately erupted in violence. In fact, Evelyn was a loving mother from Dasmariñas, Philippines. She was deeply devoted to her 2 children, a son and a daughter, whom she cherished above anything else. Her parenting style was a mix of warmth and discipline, much like many other Asian mothers who believe in firm but loving guidance. One thing was certain, she always wanted the best for her children. As Joanna grew older, Evelyn began to worry about her daughter's increasingly reckless behavior. Joanna's social life became too open and careless, and eventually at just 16, she became pregnant. This forced her to move in with her boyfriend, who was the father of the baby. Evelyn was devastated, seeing how her daughter had thrown away her future so easily. According to Evelyn's son, she frequently nagged Joanna about her responsibilities and how to properly care for her child. Little did Evelyn know, her well-intentioned nagging only fueled Joanna's resentment. Every time Evelyn scolded her, Joanna would run to her boyfriend, venting about her mother's constant criticism. Over time, it seems the boyfriend grew increasingly frustrated with Evelyn as well. Perhaps he saw her as an obstacle, or maybe he simply couldn't take the complaints anymore. And so a sinister plan began to take shape, one that would forever change their lives. On the day Evelyn vanished, Joanna called her mother from the bottom of the stairs, claiming to have a surprise for her. Evelyn, unaware of the lurking danger, came down the stairs calmly, expecting nothing out of the ordinary. But as she reached the bottom, Rudy was waiting with a hammer in his hand, his mind clouded with blind rage. Without hesitation, he struck Evelyn on the head with all his strength. Evelyn collapsed with a pained grunt, blood smearing the floor beneath her. But she was still breathing. Panicking, yet knowing there was no turning back, Rudy ordered Joanna to bring a kitchen knife. And without hesitation, she complied, returning with a large knife. In a horrifying act, they stabbed Evelyn multiple times, ensuring she wouldn't survive. After the brutal murder, the pair carried Evelyn's lifeless body down to the septic tank beneath their house and dumped her into the foul water. They thought they had buried their secret forever. After ordering gravel, sand, and cement, Rudy mixed the materials together to bury Evelyn inside the septic tank. They thought this would be a permanent solution, but they were wrong. As days turned into weeks, Evelyn's body began to bloat and decompose in the dark, airless tank, causing an unbearable stench to escape. Neighbors started noticing the foul smell coming from the property, and reports began to emerge of Judy frequently seen mixing fresh batches of cement, desperately trying to reseal the area. Each time the odor became too strong, Rudy would be outside, sealing cracks and layering more cement in an attempt to cover their horrible crime. Meanwhile, Joanna had a different plan to keep suspicions at bay. She decided to impersonate her mother online, regularly updating Evelyn's Facebook page and messaging family members as if nothing had happened. She went to great lengths to keep up the facade, posting birthday wishes to herself from Evelyn's account, and even replying to friends and relatives with casual updates. To everyone on social media, Evelyn seemed to be alive and well. This deception worked for a long time. No one questioned Evelyn's absence because she appeared to be active online. It wasn't until Michael's discovery that the web of lies started to unravel. Rudy was charged under Article 248 of the revised penal code for the heinous crime of murder. Joanna, on the other hand, faced charges of parricide under Article 246, a crime that shook the very foundation of their family. As of now, there is no publicly available information regarding the sentencing of Joanna Marie Sayos and Ronald James Rudy for the murder of Maria Evelyn Sayos. The most recent reports indicate that they were arrested and charged, and both individuals remain in detention, held securely in an undisclosed location due to the sensitive nature of the case, but details about their trial proceedings and sentencing have not been disclosed. It's possible that the trial is still ongoing, or that the proceedings are not being covered extensively by the media. The Evelyn Sayos case unveils a disturbing reality that lurks beneath the surface of seemingly normal family dynamics. She was a loving mother who, despite her heartbreak over her daughter's reckless choices, still opened her heart and home to Joanna and her boyfriend. But in return, they repaid her kindness with cold-blooded murder, all because they felt she nagged too much. May Evelyn Sayos rest in peace, and may justice prevail against those who betrayed her. Thank you for watching, and remember, stay safe out there.